Number 30 is a very important question if you're looking to improve your SAT scores. Most people look at this and know that it involves crazy algebra, and it's going to be a pain in the neck. Now, people who think only in terms of high school math are going to do all the crazy algebra and potentially get it right, but also maybe make a mistake along the way and not realize it, or just get lost in the equations and take too much time on something that could be really, really simple. But if you're smart and if you've been preparing correctly for the SAT, you know that algebra is not the right way to answer this. You have 4 variables. There's no reason we need to work with 4 variables. And since there are variables in the answer choices, that probably means we can use the strategy that I call arithmetizing. And that's where we take our variables and replace them with numbers, because a variable is just a placeholder. So let's see what happens if we replace the placeholder with a number that we work with instead. So we have one constraint that we've got to be careful of here. B is C minus a half. Okay, well, let's make our lives as simple as possible. Let's say that C is 1, simple number. Now B is C minus a half. So in this case, B would just be 1/2. And since it's the calculator section, it might be helpful to use decimals because we can plug the decimals into the calculator. So B is a half, and just if you're unsure if you set that up right, just kind of think about it in your head quickly. Okay, 1/2 is 1 minus a half. Yeah, that makes sense, right? So we know that the numbers we picked fit with the criterion that we were given. And that's another thing that we can do when we arithmetize is, yes, we're plugging the numbers into the equations, but we can also plug them into the sentences and just make sure that the numbers we're picking work. So if we've picked these numbers, now we need to use them in these equations that we were given. So let's take our first equation. That's 3x plus b. So we said b is a half, so 0.5 is equal to 5x minus 7. Well, we're going to need to do a little algebra here, but it's much easier algebra because there's only one variable, and we know that we can just kind of solve using normal methods, right? So let's bring similar terms together. So I would subtract 3x from both sides, and I'd also add 7 to both sides, and that gets rid of a lot of pieces here, and we get 7.5 is equal to 2x, and then I would solve for x by dividing by 2, and we've got the calculator, might as well use it, even if you can do that in your head. We're going to get that x is 3.75. Awesome. Now we can use the other equation, and this one involves y. So this is 3y plus c, which we said is 1. So 3y plus 1 is equal to 5y minus 7. Similar equation, but different enough. And let's solve this one, though, the same way. So we subtract 3y from both, and we're going to add 7 to both, and we're going to get that 8 is equal to 2y. Divide by 2, and we get that y is equal to 4. Okay, so now we have values for x and y. Now all the choices are asking us to compare those values. Before, when we had only algebra, we would have had to solve and get some sort of algebraic expression here, but we have numbers, and numbers are easier for our brains to understand. So now just see if these things are true. So x is y minus a fourth. Well, that seems true, right? Because 4 minus a fourth, if you really need to do it in your calculator, you can. You're going to get 3.75. The same number that we just got for x. So that seems to make sense. We should check all the other choices. Sometimes we pick bad numbers, but the way these choices are set up, it's not really possible that multiple choices could work. X is y minus a half. Well, no, y minus a half would be 3.5, right? So that doesn't work. X is y minus 1. Well, that would be 3. So 3, 3.5, 3.75. And x is y plus a half. Well, that would be 4.5. And that doesn't work either, leaving us with A, which is the answer. So the reason this is such an important question is it's a big obstacle. Some people are going to look at this and be totally confused. And so they might give up too early, or they might spend too much time on it and then not get to some of those easy grid-in questions in the next part of the section. But regardless, arithmetizing makes this more about arithmetic than algebra. We're doing much simpler math, and we're getting the same answer, and we're getting it confidently. You need to be able to use these strategies. Even if you're good at algebra, doesn't matter. Those strategies that these strategies for the SAT wouldn't work in your in-school math class. That's fine. We're not taking an in-school math test. These strategies are good for the SAT because they are more efficient on a multiple choice test. And so you have to give up on this desire to answer everything by the book the way you would do it in algebra class in school. It's a different test, different rules, different strategies, so you need a different approach. You're going to keep getting the same score.